I think it would be a lot harder for them to stand on this stage and defend cutting Medicaid, gutting our public schools, threatening Social Security. This space is available to face all of you. Your congressman needs to come here and tell us why it is okay for, tell us why. There is nothing personal and you're not asking anything. Here's the thing. If what Elon Musk is doing is so wonderful, stand here and get cheered for it. Stand here and get cheered for it.
A few moments later.
Welcome to the Capitol. It's great that you're on. Sir, you're welcome to come. Let me finish. Let me finish.
Well, isn't it funny how that works? Isn't it so fitting how what goes around ultimately comes around? And as it pertains to good old Tampon Tim, when you put that much negativity into the world, ultimately negativity will befall you. When you are actively running around this country, encouraging your own supporters and activists to be disruptive, to shut down town halls, to get in the faces of politicians and cause all of this disruptive, ridiculous behavior, isn't it so funny how the other side can do that too? It's very fitting, frankly, because what you just saw is a video today out of the Minnesota State Capitol in St. Paul, where apparently this group of veterans got together and protested Tim Walz as he was speaking. It is unclear precisely what they were protesting. It seems like they generally were just not gigantic fans of Tim Walz. But as you can see, some of those quotes include, "You're a coward, shut your effing mouth. You sympathize with the Chinese." And by the way, guys, if you think any of those sentiments are true, please do us a favor. Make sure you hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel. If you are new, that's the best way to support our work and ensure that we can keep doing these videos. And look, here's the thing. You can sit there and say, oh, well, we should not stoop to the level of the other side, right? We shouldn't be disruptive. It's a bad look, this and that. But I think in the case of this video, and specifically in the case of Tim Walz, look, I'm not actively condoning necessarily this type of behavior, but it is objectively true that, hey, what goes around comes around, right? When you kind of bring this issue upon yourself, we're not exactly going to sit there and feel bad when, hey, gee, I don't know, people, especially veterans in this country, you know, Tim Walz is the one running around claiming, oh, Trump is taking away the VA, he's abandoning our veterans. Well, newsflash, right? When that happens, hey, sometimes that can come back to bite you. And specifically in the case of Tim Walz, I think there are two reasons, some of you may have guessed, why he just outright deserves everything that happened here today. Is because first and foremost, when it comes to the veterans and his supposed military record, he simply lied about it, right? As everyone knows, you can claim that it was stolen valor, you can use that word, you can say it's an embellishment, whatever it is, but it's an objective fact that Tim Walz, throughout his political career, has not exactly been super forthcoming and transparent about his military record. And yeah, newsflash, the concept of stolen valor is something that is generally looked down upon pretty severely. So when you go out and lie and embellish your own military record for political gain, yeah, gee, newsflash, don't be surprised when veterans who actually served and actually fought don't really like you. So let's remind ourselves of that before you sit there and feel too bad that veterans are now protesting and disrupting the events of Tim Walz.
The idea that you said that you were in war. Yeah. Did you misspeak as the campaign has said?
Yeah, I said we were talking about, in this case, this was after a school shooting, the ideas of carrying these weapons of war. And my wife, the English teacher, told me my grammar's not always correct. But again, if it's not this, it's an attack on my children for showing love for me, or it's an attack on my dog.
Tim Walz wants to be a heartbeat away from Commander-in-Chief. But Tim Walz has lied about his military record for years.
He's used the rank that he never achieved in order to advance his political career.
Walz lied repeatedly about his rank.
Retired Command Sergeant Major. Retired Command Sergeant Major. Command Sergeant Major. Retired Command Sergeant Major.
Walz lied about being in combat.
Can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war,
Walz dodged deployment by retiring when he knew his National Guard unit was going to Iraq.
Everybody knew they were going to train and go to Iraq. The warning order basically stated it, and 2 months later, after he knew it, that's when he retired.
Walz disparaged Minnesota National Guard soldiers.
Mayor said, I request the National Guard. We're going to have massively trained troops. No, you're going to have 19-year-olds who are cooks.
That same Minnesota National Guard that he disparaged, unlike Walz, served heroically in Iraq and Afghanistan. Tim Walz is not fit to be anywhere near the office of Commander-in-Chief. Tim Walz is guilty of stolen valor.
He abandoned us. I mean, what the hell kind of leader does that?
His country and his state called out for leadership. Tim Walz abandoned them. In early 2005, his National Guard unit was ordered to deploy to Iraq. He said he'd go, but instead, he retired, leaving his soldiers without their senior non-commissioned officer.
He abandoned us. As soon as the shots were fired in Iraq, he turned and ran the other way. And
Governor Walz had, disappeared, retired out, and left basically his troops high and dry.
The New York Times exposed Walz misrepresented his military record. In May 2020, as Black Lives Matter rioters burned down a police station, Governor Tim Walz again abandoned the people who counted on his leadership. Instead of immediately sending in the National Guard and coordinating with police, he downplayed the situation and let the city burn. Twice Tim Walz was called to lead. Twice he ran away.
Oh, and by the way, it's worth noting here that this same pathological lying, ridiculous fool actually voted in favor of the Stolen Valor Act of 2013, which, as you can see, one of the aspects of stolen valor as defined by the law in 2013 is to specifically make it a crime for someone to claim they have served in their military, embellish their rank, or fraudulently claim having received a Valor Award specified in the Act with the intention of obtaining money, property, or other tangible benefits by convincing another that he or she lied about this award. Tim Walz voted for this, by the way. And yet he has a long political career of this and also just other areas like the trip to China or Hong Kong, where he was claiming that he was insinuating he was a part of the Tiananmen Square protests and all that, right? What has he done his entire career? Pathologically lied at the expense, by the way, of our own military veterans in some of these instances in order to further his political career. And of course, the guy still to this day uses the pathetic excuse that he's just a knucklehead. His grammar is incorrect a few times. And isn't that interesting, where his incorrect grammar always translates to him embellishing things that make him seem more accomplished or competent or having high achieved than he actually is, especially, and it always somehow happens in the context of him bragging in order to seem like a more credible politician or political candidate. Yeah, that's not misspeaking. That's not grammar issues. You are intentionally lying and embellishing things for the purposes of winning and furthering your political career. So that's, of course, reason number one why I say, I watch that video and I say, oh, veterans are pissed off at Tim Walz. Yeah, I don't exactly feel so bad for the guy. But reason number two, and the great irony I find in all of this is it is, of course, the Democrats themselves who have been doing what? Encouraging their own supporters to go to town halls of Republican politicians and just scream the place down. Okay, this is not an issue of, oh, let's get in front of the Q&A and, present serious objections. No, they've literally just been celebrating as people just scream and interrupt and cause massive problems. And I want people to keep in mind, this is not a random epidemic where normal Democrat activists out there are just doing their thing. No, this is actively being propped up, publicly supported and likely funded by mainstream Democrat politicians themselves. So what is inevitably happening here is, hey, someone is giving the Democrats a taste of their own medicine. And once again, I cannot exactly say I feel all that bad. This is truly poetic justice.
And we're going to go after him in so many different ways. We are doing much better on the social media, led by Cory Booker and Tina Smith in our House. And so we're reaching people who were not reached before. We are mobilizing in New York. We have people going to the Republican districts and going after these Republicans who are voting for this and forcing them to either change their vote or face the consequences. This is a long, relentless fight that we fight every day. And I am confident that we will bring Trump's popularity, numbers, and strength down if we keep at it and keep at it and keep at it.
Do your job! Do your job! Do your job! Do your job! Do your job!
Okay, let's talk about this. So your proposal to solve this is to tax the rich.
Let me just make a point, okay? As a member that is in a swing district, okay, I have and continue to do in-person events, including today, where I was protested by climate activists, okay? They showed up, barged into a private luncheon with the Rockland Business Association and screamed and yelled for 5 minutes and then finally left. But Chuck Schumer went on the airwaves multiple times now, including today, and said, we are organizing to send protesters up to Republican districts here in New York, including mine. And they have been working, the Democratic Party, along with activist organization, including Indivisible, to organize and mobilize voters both within the district and outside.
Mike, that was the whole auditorium.
Isn't that a sign of energy, though, that should be concerning?
That is
it's
democracy.
a sign of good organization. No, but that was the whole auditorium screaming at those.
Let me just say, that is democracy, and that's fine. But let's not act like organizing Democrat activists is somehow news. It is not.
All right.
Yeah, well, again, what goes around comes around. And I could do the same exact argument. Isn't that a sign of energy? I mean, sure, this protest, I'm sure, was organized and, you know, they plan to do this and all. But hey, look, the people are rising up. I can run around and say that. Look at these veterans. The masses are rising up. Minnesota is going to go Republican 2026. Everyone is so pissed at the Democrats. The whole country is changing. I could do that stupid performative cringe BS, okay? And frankly, maybe we should. But you know what? The reality is this. You want to be annoying and obnoxious and loud and scream? The other side can do that too. And I'm going to absolutely laugh when it happens. So there you go. Yeah, take action, Mr. Tim Walz. Yeah, shut your effing mouth. Oh, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Tim Walz overall must not be having a very good week because we take a look at the current state of Tesla stock, for instance. Also happening today, coincidentally, at the same exact time he's getting protested by the veterans. Look at where it is, 272 and rising. Not a good look for good old Tampon Tim. I don't think he's having a good time.
Saying on my phone, I don't know, some of you know this on the iPhone, they've got that little stock app. I added Tesla to it to give me a little boost during the day. 225 and dropping. So, and if you own one, we're not blaming you. You can take dental floss and pull the Tesla thing off, and take out, just telling you.
Yeah, well, I guess it is becoming abundantly clear that the momentum he thought he had, right, this little 2028 shadow campaign for president he has been trying to launch immediately thus far is taking huge steps backwards, okay? This is not a good look. Getting protested is not a good look, but you know what? That is exactly what happens. And by the way, even Bill Maher apparently is now coming out and basically just tearing into Tim Walz, saying the guy doesn't have the it factor. I couldn't agree more, and yet Democrats still somehow run around and claim that, oh, Tim Walz is like an icon of liberal masculinity. Tim Walz is relatable. He's a folksy Midwestern white guy. Doesn't he give off dad energy? I don't know. My dad never acted like that, okay? He really just gives off a weird uncle energy, maybe, but dad energy, really? He's so relatable. Oh, yeah, everyone relates to Tim Walz. You know, all of us out there, aren't we all just such knuckleheads that lie about military service and being in Tiananmen Square in 1989? Like, this just, everyone has done that. Who hasn't done a little bit of embellishing of their participation in global events? Nonetheless, take a listen to Bill Maher and ask yourself, is the Tim Walz 2028 campaign going to go as far as he's hoping? I don't know. We'll have to see.
I smell fear, or I smell alpha, and they smell alpha. And Democrats have to come up with an alpha, and it's not Tim Walz.
No, probably not.
And it's not Tim, the other Tim who ran.
Kane?
Tim Kane. These are not alphas. It's like this thing of like, let's get a woman and then a docile man who's in every commercial where he's the asshole while mom takes care of business. You know, that's not a message that makes the tribe go, who is strong? Who's strong? Who's strong? Tim Walz. No. Og, give me rock. I need to kill myself because Tim Walz, you know, that you got to appeal to people at a sort of post-civilization stage where we're kind of at on a primal level. You just do. And Trump does it better than anybody.
Trump does.
Yeah, well, that's all certainly true. And everyone who is normal can see it from a mile away. Okay, Tim Walz is not some type of dynamic guy who could be president. He is sloppy. He has a ton of baggage. He comes off as generally weird and off-putting to people. I mean, just take a look at every time on stage how he goes, every time he comes out, it's weird. It's not alpha, as Bill Maher is bringing up there, but nonetheless, I fully encourage, please, Democrats, okay? We're so scared of the guy. You know, you want to run that strange, off-putting weirdo that was just a massive liability for Kamala Harris, and you want him to get destroyed in a presidential debate against J.D. Vance yet again. I mean, you can give it a shot. You can try it. Not exactly sure that'll go very far. But with that said, guys, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section down below. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe if you are new, and until next time, God bless and peace.